It was at this moment that he knew.
He bucked up. Welcome. You're listening to Bucked Up with Sam Buck.
Fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you have fucked up.
Welcome, guys, to the Bucked Up podcast, man. I really appreciate you doing this. And of course you, but we went to high school together.
Yes.
Like, you're the first person really from my past on the podcast.
Nice. Yeah, it's an honor. Thank you for having me on.
And I'm a real big fan of your music too. Like Q-Tip Bandits is a great band. I was bumping your new, or I guess not the new, but the EP that you have on streaming. Like, I was so excited for this podcast. I was just bumping it the whole time.
For sure, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been excited to connect with you ever since I heard about this podcast.
It's cool. But when did you how long have you guys been a band? When did you guys meet?
Yeah, we have been a band for about 4 years now, 3 years excluding our year in hibernation. And Claire and I met at a rehearsal for a recording session of one of our mutual friends who was a producer. He needed a guitarist and a bassist, and we were the hired musicians for that session. And it was one of those like quintessential first year at Berkeley, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. sessions. Our rehearsal was at 10 p.m. And I remember just hitting it off. Berkeley, like any art institution, I think, where the subject matter is meant to be subjective and creative, is put into a competitive sphere, easily starts to become, at least for me, an ego competition, where everybody's trying to show off, everybody's trying to one up each other. And that's great. There's a lot of growth that comes from that. But I remember getting to that rehearsal, and Claire started a jam that was like 3 notes. And I just played along to those 3 notes. And it was just something really simple and kind of reminded me that music is meant to be simple and fun and something that a lot of people can enjoy.
Yeah. How do you, I want to hear your reaction to that too. I want to hear your side of the story.
Yeah. I think he said it pretty well. I remember one of my initial impressions at that first jam session was also likewise of like wow, this is simple and fun. And like, it was one of the best jams that I'd had at my time at Berkeley since then, which granted was only like, a month or 2 in, but, I remember Leo's dance moves, which I thought were really fun. And I was like, okay, yeah, this guy's fun and he's good at music. And so it became just this very fun, got together and played music after that session. And we both knew that we both discovered that we had a love for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, yes. Which was like a very formative band for my early musician years. And I think for you as well. So We definitely bonded over that. And
I think if I dig deep enough in Sam's memories, he'll remember our cover band in high school covering the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I actually do. I was sitting here having that's one of those bands that I'll be like, I would never listen to now.
Sure.
But there's so many memories of listening to that band.
It's one of those bands for me. Like it was a very big part of like my middle school and early high school. And I'm with you. Like rarely now do I go to my Spotify and I'm like, I want to listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers. But once I get started in a Red Hot Chili Peppers mood, so many songs come back and you're like, this one was so great. And this one is great.
Are you guys nostalgic music listeners? Like,
yes.
Do you listen to music for nostalgia purposes?
Yes, I would like to more. I think on the first question you asked, it's like learning music has become like, I'm analyzing everything. I'm tight when I'm listening to music because I'm trying to pick up everything.
Yeah.
And slowly getting back to damn, this is just a great fucking song. And it makes me feel so nice. It reminds me of, I forget what I was listening to the other day, but it was like, all of a sudden it was 7th grade and summer vacation just hit. And that was the vibe I was getting. And I was like, this is what music is meant for me to do.
I am not like, I don't know how I feel about it. Could be beneficial or not. Is like, there's so much new shit coming out that I'm always obsessed with like, what's the next song, like new song to listen to. I don't really go back to music, but as you said, like, I feel like I should, because when I do, I get that like transportation back in time where you're like, shit, that was like a real memory. Like, it unlocks a memory in your mind that you didn't think you had.
I like that. That was like a real memory.
Yeah.
So many times we think back and we're like, did that happen? How it actually went down in my brain? But something about music is like that teleportation you're talking about. I'm transported to that moment. I can look left and look right. And I'm like, yep, that's what the field behind the dorm looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like there's certain times where it's like, I remember the first time I heard like an artist that I like I remember that actual moment, but I have no musical talent. Like I tried playing drums at Cushing, but I don't have musical talent. That's not my thing.
We need music appreciators to do what we do. So.
So how long after you guys met did you start like, I guess become a group, like start making music seriously together?
Sure. I think so we were talking about this a little bit before the interview. After Sam and after we were in school together, I went to USC and I think I started writing a lot there. And so a lot of the songs from that period to when we met at Berkeley, I've just kind of like picked maybe 5 to 10 that I was like, I need to play these with a band once I get into music school. And I was already looking for players to like form a band around to play these songs. And I had already started putting together a group. I think the original configuration was like a cello, hand percussion, drums, saxophone, and then me on guitar. We didn't even have a bass player.
I think that is a stroke of luck, by the way. Like, I'm like, what are the chances? Berkeley, huge music school. You've probably met so many bassists at that point. What are the chances that you didn't have a bass player in your band yet? And I just came along.
Yeah, right? You just stepped on the scene. Yeah.
So it's one of those, I'm like, coincidence, chance.
Do you believe in
meant to happen.
omens?
Omens. I believe that we create our own, our internal higher self, inner self, gut. My internal compass will try to tell me with symbols on the outside. I don't necessarily believe that that's a great fucking question. Because I just read or listened to The Alchemist recently.
Yeah, dude, it's a lot. Have you ever read that?
No, I haven't.
It's really.
I hear I
so
should.
good.
Yeah,
but I believe that there is a higher power out there. I don't believe that. And I believe that I have a personal relationship to what I think that power is. And when I'm tapping into that, it is not so much tapping into like talking to bearded man in the sky, but tapping into that piece of my soul that is connected to whatever governs everything around us. And so in the sense of omens, it's like, maybe it's not this miraculous thing, but it could be this little moment that I hear something that everybody else missed. And I'm like, I was meant to hear that to guide the internal compass that I have to go down whatever, if we go to the alchemist language, my personal legend is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any like spiritual connection? Like, do you believe in a higher power?
I think I'm kind of on the same boat of there must be something that's greater than us. Like, I feel like there's so many things that just kind of happen that I'm like, well, how could this possibly have happened if there isn't some force that's greater than us? But I don't really put a name to it. I don't call it God. I just kind of think it as more on energy levels, you know?
Yeah. It's the words behind it suck. Like, our language isn't advanced enough to explain certain things. So like, when I'm very passionate talking about like with a friend, like God, or like my God's different than your God, but that doesn't mean we don't all have one. Or it sounds weird because that word is so like
Right.
you know,
There's
like,
so much
it hits
weight.
you exactly. But I do believe in a higher power that we each have that's trying to guide us to our best self. Like the good voice and the bad voice in your brain. Like the good voice in my brain that tells me to do the good things, that's like God or good energy. And the one that tells me to do bad is the bad. And if I like live by that, I feel like that's kind of what I try to base it off of.
For sure.
I don't know. Like, okay. So how many years sober are you?
6.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I never had any of that connection. I never did anything. And then when I started doing mushrooms, and I've never done anything harder than, I mean, I did DMT, but like mushrooms is as hard as I really went.
Yeah, totally.
That made me realize that there's a world outside of this one that can help me grow, because I felt very lost in this one. And so it helped me out of a dark place.
Sure, yeah.
Do you like... you came from the opposite direction, I'm guessing, like not doing anything now. That's where your peace is at.
Right. I think even a lot of people in the recovery community forget sometimes. And in recovery circles, we talk a lot about forgetting what it was like, but forgetting how bad it could get, and it keeps us, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, it keeps me sober because I remember how bad it got. But I think what the recovery community hammers down on a lot of the times, which I don't necessarily think is the most healthy thing, is like, oh, it was bad and it was always bad and I'm fucking defective because I kept doing this bad thing. When in reality, it's like, no, I had zero peace before I found drugs and alcohol. I had zero peace. And then I found it. I found it when I got high. I found it. I've had that experience where I was like, it broke me out of something. But in that space, I did not find something greater than that to sustain my peace. And instead, I kept turning back to drugs and alcohol. And I want to say it lightly because I know plenty of people who can do it and don't end up in the position that I ended up in. Yeah. And they do it for their entire lives and they're okay. I totally believe in recreational cannabis. I believe in psilocybin microdosing. I believe in a lot of like hallucinogens that can benefit people. I just know for me, it worked. And then I leaned so heavily on it and it stopped working. And I may have lost sight of your original question.
No. Okay. So when did you start? Like, was drinking the, like, were you a drinker?
I smoked weed when I was 14, I think, was the first time I experimented. Was the first time I started self-medicating. And that led to, the kids that I would hang out with end up at like the house party, drank for the first time. And then it just slowly progressed to hallucinogens. I remember dropping acid and then it was mushrooms. And then I tried Molly, ecstasy. Then I was doing cocaine and then I started doing Xanax. And then at one point it was just like, you tell me it's going to do something to me. If it's not heroin, I'll do it. Yeah. And who's to say for me, who's to say if I continued what it would look like?
When was that time? Throughout high, like, cause we knew each other in high school. Yeah. And it's funny, before the podcast, we were talking about stuff and you're like, oh, I would have never guessed that, like,
for sure.
You were, and I feel like I could say the same thing for you. Like, I would have never guessed that, like, if you were dealing with stuff then, like, yeah, you were.
For sure.
Was high school?
I think a big part of why I started at Cushing. So we went to Cushing for my junior and senior year. At my freshman and sophomore year, right down the street from where we're doing this interview right now at Brookline High School, I don't think there was a single day starting my sophomore year where I didn't show up high for class or I wasn't skipping one period at any time to go get high.
Mhm.
And it was part of the reason I ended up at Cushing. And yeah, it's not a proud moment.
But I feel like Cushing's not was it a good place? I feel like Cushing isn't a good place for then rehabilitation.
I feel like it was good in the sense that it got me away from here, from home. But wherever I go, I'm still going to be there. So it's like I can't really run away from myself and my habits and my behavior and my coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And the isolation and being around the same people a lot. It was, I mean, you probably know it as well as I do. It's a stressful time. It's such a small community that knows too much about everybody. There's no privacy.
Not at all. No. And I think it was beneficial.
Yeah.
I think I learned good things from it, but it was a tough time.
Totally.
It was a tough time.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about having to take medical leave and the school like turning on me.
Sure.
And, like not wanting me to graduate and shit. So then I like cut people off and then like, you get down, have you ever
what we've bounced around to different topics.
Yeah. Like, were you ever a drinker or were you ever do you smoke or do you?
I wasn't really in high school. I was very clean in high school. And then once I got to college, that changed, but it was never I never used it as like an escape from reality. It was more of just like a social kind of, my friends are doing it, that sort of thing. And I don't really know why. It just never called to me in that
Are
sense.
you sober now?
No.
I do drink like one drink. I try to do like 1 or 2 drinks a week, like one maybe. But like when I was in college, there was definitely that was when I was like blacking out a lot, like getting too drunk. And I think alcohol was the problem there. Like I knew the stories of like my dad and everything. So I never did coke. But like drinking was the problem. I feel like when I was in college,
Totally. I'm with that. I will say, just to go back on that first question of spirituality.
Yeah.
Me and like our friend Steven, I talked to Steven about this, so he's a friend. I get so deep into like talking about the cosmos and our place in the universe, the essence of being. And we can talk for hours about that. But every once in a while, Claire will come up and his partner will also come up in conversation. We're just like, I feel like people like Claire are just living it. They're just in the moment. They're doing life to the fullest. And people like me, I need to think about it and overanalyze everything before I can feel like I can take a step forward. Whereas there's a lot of things when I see you as like, maybe you don't see yourself as a spiritual person, but you are so much in tune to the actual rhythms of what are actually happening, where it's like, you're present. And I need to remind myself to be present. And on that note, it's like, you never really seem to, it's helpful for me to remember, you never really seemed like you were drinking or drugging the way that I was.
I'm sure that I'm not.
Yeah. No, but some people need that escape. And I just met you. I haven't seen you in, nice to meet you. I haven't seen you in a long time, but I feel like you guys give off similar energies. Like you guys are very similar. Like I already musically, sonically, you guys are, but that almost seems like the best combination for a partners, even in music. Like one person that overanalyzes and overthinks and then one person who's present and can just be like, we got to push this forward. Like that honestly seems like a perfect combo.
It balances out pretty well.
It's a very yin and yang situation where it's like 90% that. And there's times where it's like, I'm the 10% we got to push forward and she'll be the 10% overthinking. But it balances out nicely in that way where.
Yeah, it's like, rare that one of us will both be on one end of the spectrum.
Yes.
We kind of take turns.
So how long have you guys been together?
3 years.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get the timeline in my head because I want.
Yeah.
So you've been sober 6 years.
6
You've had the
years.
band 4 years.
Yes.
Together 3 years.
Yes.
So what, if we could, like, what made you choose sobriety? What was your
Wow.
turning point?
Good question. I appreciate the good questions.
That's what we do on Bucked Up.
Yeah, it's real bucked up out here. You got me bucked in the head.
And if there isn't one, then I understand.
For sure. I'm trying to put it in the simplest terms as possible that are still true to what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think I found myself in a lot of the unwanted situations. You know, I was getting in trouble with authorities. I was blacking out and waking up in places where I had no idea how I got to. I was, and that was okay because I could always move forward. But it got to the point where it was like I tried to stop because of one of those instances. I was like, oh shit, I've got into a situation that I don't want to get into again. All right, I'm going to stop. And then I kept going back. And in keeping on going back, I hit this wall of like, I don't know how to live life. I don't want to be getting high right now, but I don't know what else I can do. And I want to live, but I'm too afraid to interact with anybody or leave my room. And I want to die, but I do not have the courage or the cowardice to take my own life. And but there's that like fear that kept me from stopping. Because like, what will I be if I stop the only thing that I actually know how to do at this point? And I remember I had a therapist at the time, and God bless his fucking soul, Brian Allison. If you're listening, I love you.
Shout out Brian Allison.
But he tricked me. He was like, I mean, tricked me in the most loving way possible.
Yeah.
Because he was looking out for me. He was like, what if you try this rehab center? You know, what if you try this treatment facility? You're telling me you're getting high and it's not working and you're not enjoying it. What if they clean your brain? What if they help you and you get out, you can do whatever you want. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. You get out, you do what you want. Hell, I'll even take you out for a beer, you know? And I was like, you know what? Cool. I'll try it. I'll give it a try. I'll go to this rehab center, see what it's like. And I did the work that they laid out in front of me. And for the first time in maybe my entire life, I was like, oh shit, I feel connected. I feel at peace. And it's cliche as fuck, but it's like I felt high on life. I felt high on being connected to others and being a part of my life and active in my community and trying to do the best that I can and working through the fear. And I think it's important for me to remember that I am still a drug addict. I'm still an alcoholic. But the high I'm chasing after is the peace that I get. And what I found taking that chance that Brian Allison put me onto, it feels better than anything else. And it has very little repercussions for me. You know,
how long before you actually like wanting to quit? You said you go back back and forth, and then actually making that decision, going to that facility, rehab center.
Maybe a couple years. Maybe.
I didn't even realize it was raining right now.
I know, it's beautiful right now. It's like downpour, but it's partially sunny.
Yeah, exactly.
It's beautiful.
We needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 100 degrees for like the last 4 days right now. British Columbia, 121 degrees yesterday. Like, what the fuck?
That's crazy. A couple years. Were you making music?
I was writing. And I think a big part of this, the reason too, and I forgot to mention, music was like a solace that I found before getting sober. It was like I had dropped out of college. I had come home. Didn't really have direction in my life. And then I picked up the guitar again after maybe a couple years of not playing. And then I started writing. And Willow, our first single, is actually the first song I wrote in that space.
That's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
That really is.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. And a part of, I think, why I was getting sober is like I hit this wall of like I wasn't creating anymore. I couldn't hold a rhythm. I felt like I had knocked some wire loose in my brain that I couldn't carry a groove and I couldn't make music. And that was the point where I was like, if I can't play music, what's the fucking point of living?
Yeah. What made you pick the guitar back up then if you had taken a break?
I think the friends I was hanging out with at the time, we passed a lot of our time by like freestyling. Like turning on, throwing on a type beat on YouTube, right?
I remember those days.
Yeah, and just freestyling. Yeah. And then I remember that turned into like sharing music. And then that turned into sharing music that we normally wouldn't share with other people. And like things that it was like, oh, I wouldn't tell just a random person on the street that I like this song. Yeah. But really digging into what we liked. And I was like, oh, I like that shit too. And then the Chili Peppers were one of the bands that we all really liked. And I remember watching John Frusciante rip a solo and I was like, he looks so free. He like, say what you want about their music. When he's there in the moment playing, he's in the moment. I have no doubts about that from the way that he expresses. And I think from there, I was like, if I can even achieve any semblance of that freedom, music might be the way I can get there. And it fit my lifestyle at the time. I was like, I can do music and do drugs. So I'm going to pick up my guitar and see what I can do. Yeah.
So then you get sober for 2 years and then you go to college. You go to Berkeley to finish up. Did you graduate? Did you finish school at Berkeley?
I did not. I did 2 years there.
It's probably a good move. I'm not good.
I think it was a good move for me. I absolutely think it was a good move for me.
I think you the reason that sounded so. Let me explain myself. I feel like I need to explain myself on that response.
That's great.
You were talking about overanalyzation, and you were talking about wanting to be free. Mm-hmm. So tying yourself down to something like that, I don't think is probably what's more beneficial to you. I'm guessing you probably had a pretty beneficial experience.
I just graduated.
Yeah, she's killing it.
We're similar in a lot of ways. We're very different in a lot of ways.
No, but because that probably, if you're more in the moment, something like that is good because it gives you a structure to
I was always a school person. I loved school. Like I can't explain it. But it was like even when I was feeling sick, most kids like try and come up with excuses that they are sick to not go to school. But when I was sick, I still wanted to go to school.
I think that's cool as shit. Like
I actually
part of me, like the resentful part of me, knowing that I'm not good at school, wants to be like, yeah, you did. But it's like internally, I'm like, damn, like you're striving for knowledge. Like you literally are going because you want to get as much as you can out of this life.
Like I was the kid who would like wake up sick and then I would like sleep for 2 extra hours and I'd be like, Mom, I'm ready to go. I'm good now. Let's go.
You're a person who I like, that is like, I want to play. Like, I know the rules of the game and I know what to play. Well, like, I don't know if you feel, but I'm like, I don't want to play by this shit. And I don't even know the rules. So I just like fuck around. Like,
coach.
I need. Yeah. I'm not good at that type of structure. I wasn't good at school. Like I was fine at it, but I wasn't good at it. Like
it was something that like
I overanalyze shit. So anything told me, I was like, fuck you. And I also didn't believe adults because the adults around me weren't teaching me good shit. So I was like, I'm not going to listen to these assholes either. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry if anyone's listening, teachers, you aren't assholes.
No, your teachers are very valuable in our community. I do feel that though. It's like, what is this going to help me in the real world? You know, there's part of like, we're not taught how to socialize. We're expected to know how to socialize more or less. We're not taught how to manage our feelings. And when we become kids that need to manage our feelings, we're put into special classes and we feel separated from our peers and abnormal because maybe we didn't develop the same coping mechanisms. And everybody's here learning about math, science, and history and English. And I am just trying to get through the day.
Yeah.
And that's when it's like, you're not teaching me what I need to know right now.
I need to know how to keep my shit together. I don't give a fuck about these math equations. I don't give a fuck about history. Tell me how to keep my shit together.
Dude, how are you not freaking out like an hour into the day?
But this is why, why life is a simulate. Look at you guys coming from complete opposite backgrounds. Literally come to the same place. Like you guys are in a bit like.
It's funny how we got to the same place.
If you follow your shit, if you listen to your higher power, yours, even if you believe it or not, led you to this place, and yours led you to this place, and it's the same place, very different paths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think on some ways I often am like, I could have put so much less effort into school. Still ended up here. I could have had so many hours back in my life.
Well, I'll tell you how much I hated school. And it was because my schooling, I just had anxiety from that. So then college, this is how silly it is. Since I was 16 and I got in that hockey accident, I knew I wanted to do stand-up. I didn't start seriously until I graduated college.
Yeah. That's a long time to sit on a dream.
I met so many comedians. I would go to shows every week. I did improv. I did everything because I knew once I did it, I had to dive headfirst in and it would take up my whole life. But senior year, I took an independent study in stand-up.
That's badass.
And I never did stand-up, and I got a C- in the independent study in stand-up, and I didn't graduate cum laude because of that, because of stand-up.
Huh.
And day after I graduated, I started doing stand-up. But it's like, that is the epitome of why school doesn't work for me. It's like that right there is like, I was given an opportunity to follow my dreams in an actual fashion, like schooling, didn't do it. The second I was thrown out to the wolves, I was like, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
I better start learning how to hunt and make spears right now.
For real.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that's a great song. The Wolf.
Thank you.
Good segue.
So much love. That was a beautiful segue. Oh my God.
It was all planned out. No, it wasn't. No. But for real, that is a great song.
Thank you so
Big
much.
Warren Zevas fans? Who isn't that? Who does the original?
No, that one's an original.
Yeah, it's
Werewolves of London. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, I feel. Was it inspired at
London
all?
Calling.
London Calling. Was it inspired by anything?
No.
Where did that song come from?
So it's okay. The inspiration.
We just took a totally different path, and we're gonna go back. But I just want to hear because I love this song.
The inspiration that led me to finish the song is far different from the seed that made me sing those words the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so out of left field, and I love it. And I love Paul Rudd, so that's why I love it even more. But I think it was My Wet Hot American Summer. He picks up the guitar and he sang something about being a wolf. And I remember the next night I was with my bandmate, different band at the time. And I was like, if I'm the wolf and you're the moon. And he was like, I'd tilt my head and sing to you. And then I took that and I was like, ooh. And I ran with the rest of the song. But the rest of the song is like I had just gotten back from South Korea and I was busking there. And I met this other busker. Her name was Dawn. And we busked from 6 p.m. to like 10 a.m. the next morning in this like little district.
I'm an idiot and I apologize, but what is busking?
Okay. Busking is performing on the street for money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've done that. I should know.
I wasn't familiar with the term either until like very recently.
I know. I was like, should I let it slide? And I was like,
No.
For the point of the story.
Yes, and if listeners, come on now you all know. No excuses now. And I was just thinking about that night of, it sounds like a love song. I think of it more as like a longing song. And maybe at the time it was like fleeting lust, or just like the feeling of like being in this moment with somebody chasing after something, like a similar goal. And I remember the night that I finished writing that song, it was one of those, and it rarely happens. It just flowed out in one night because I just got back. I was busking with my bandmate at the time again, who I had just recited this 2 lines to. And I remember we busked until 3-4 in the morning. We walked home and the sun was like this, the sky was this purple color and the moon was just sitting right there real pretty. And I went home that night and wrote until like 10 in the morning, and just that song came out.
I'm going to ask you this first, and then you can answer this. Where do you think ideas come from?
In general, musical ideas or just ideas?
Well, that's the thing, is for you guys, it's music, but for me, it's jokes.
Right.
Like for some people, it's art. Like, where does the muse come from?
It's a good question. I don't know. For me, I think mainly things come from memories connecting. Like, I feel like at least when it comes to songs, it's never like a one thing sparks an idea, but it's when that one thing connects to something different in the brain that then makes a new idea. Because I feel like anything can just be its own separate thing, but in order to be like a new idea, like an idea, it's like combining. It's like a little melting pot.
But you believe it comes out of your own brain, your own memory.
Yeah. I feel like we've had this conversation about this channel opening up, from wherever, and just like because there are some things that just they come out so much more naturally than others, and we talk about like if it was just coming from inside our heads, then we'd be able to do it all the time. But that's not the case. Like writer's block happens. Like every musician, artist, creator of any kind, like knows like if you just sit down and try and be creative, it's not going to come. Usually. So we discussed the idea of like, well, there must be like, some like channel that you tap into that then all of a sudden ideas can just come straight through you. But I don't know. It's not something that I can explain. So that must mean it's coming from somewhere else.
Well, the reason like flow state, when you're in flow state, either on stage or writing or in the studio, you're not in your body. You're in the future, because you're creating things that you wouldn't be able to come up with in that short a period of time. It's just like flowing through you. Does that like is that musically the same way? Because like when I'm on stage and I'm really connected into an audience, I'm 5 seconds. Actually, I think the scientific, like they say 3 seconds in the future. Like I'm literally 3 seconds ahead of where I actually am.
Interesting. I haven't heard of that.
I feel you. I've never thought about it as 3 seconds.
Yeah, but that's the number I heard, and I think it's true. I'm
doing the thing. My mouth is doing the thing. My brain has already steps down the way.
Yeah.
And I'm just headed on this path that I cannot interfere with at that point. It's just happening. And the best thing I can do is get out of my own way at that point. I think if I can convince you that it's not coming from inside, although it may be, I think there's the memory meets circumstance creates inspiration. And
simple math.
2 plus 2 is 4. Quick math. Though the self puts together these moments, it is still processing what has happened in the external. And it is because we are placed in this moment in the external that whatever the cog is here processes the outside and then spits it back out. So the initial inspiration is still
From elsewhere.
from outside. And if I continue,
I was letting you go. I was letting you go.
Just let me go. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Because I'll go. I'll fucking go.
But okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is actually where I don't stand up. Of course you need other people, of course.
Sure.
But it is you on stage alone
Mm-hmm.
with an audience. With a band, when you're creating, are you tapping into like a collective consciousness that is outside of all of your bodies, but then connected in some way?
I feel like I think in terms of, at least musically, like frequencies, right? Like radio waves, all these other things. Like if we're thinking along a certain frequency, all separate little like frequencies, you know, but then we get on stage together and we're playing the same song, and there's a moment where we like lock frequencies. Like all of a sudden we are connected in that sense.
That's a great way to
It's a
put it.
collective flow state.
That is because that's what it is with the audience. I get that you connect, and that's actually a really good way to put it.
I think it's the closest thing for me that's related to like professional sports that connects art and sports. Is I think it's Phil Jackson talking about like the legendary Bulls team.
Yeah.
But in those moments, it's like, we're not even thinking about what we're doing. It's just happening. I know this person's going to be there. I know that Claire is about to cut out and we're going to hit this anticipation. I know that this thing is going to happen. I know that, and be it as it may, if it's preparation or divine or anything, in that moment, it is this collective flow. And I think that happens, I don't know. I think there's equal parts preparation and divine in it. Divine being a greater power that's not human.
Yeah. It's kind of like, okay, have you ever blacked out from drinking?
No.
Okay. When you black out, it's not a good experience, but in the moment you're creating an artificial like feeling that is supposedly fun. You know?
Yeah,
in the
totally.
moment you're like,
This is fucking great. I'm going to keep going until
Exactly.
oblivion.
And I do have a reason for this. But when you're on stage, that is a natural blackout.
It's a rush. It's like
I've blacked out and got, like my best sets, I don't remember. Like I literally I black out in that moment, and that's when I hit that divine state or the flow state where it's like that's a natural that's a natural rush of drugs in my body for me, which is way better than anything artificial I've ever created. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's, I don't know how you feel, but it is a chase. Like that's when you kill for the first time, that is a dragon that you're trying to chase.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
I talk about good addictions. Like I try to get addicted to I really try my hardest to meditate every day, to do yoga every day, to either ride my bike, do like.
I try to meditate every day.
But we need it. She doesn't need it. Don't look at her like that.
No. This is more of her being like, you see why I need it every day? Yeah. No.
You tried to convince me.
It wasn't a no. I'm not trying to put anything on you.
I did that to someone literally this morning.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe you should meditate. I was like, oh, I'm so disgusting.
Who am I to tell anybody how to live?
I need that shit. I'm the crazy. Yeah. But like I try to get addicted to good things.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean? Because I know that's how my personality is.
Totally. And I think there's like, when you look at a lot of people who excel, they're also the same people that have been prone to drug addiction in the past. And I think there's a direct correlation of that. You know, like the moment I found out music was the thing I wanted to do, I was like, oh, that's it. I'll give up anything in my life right now for music, other than like my close relationships and, you know, the other things that give me that same sort of feeling of completeness.
I think you can burn out because you can burn out quick that way though. Like you can use all, I don't think we all have a finite energy. So that's not what I'm saying. But you
For
can
sure.
burn out all your energy if you just put it all right there.
Totally.
Well, like some people are successful with the slow burn, like that slow burn, like sticking with the process. I'm going to like, you know, go to school and that's going to give me gigs, which are then going to help me grow. Like, you know,
Yeah, for sure. And I'm trying to learn a thing or two from that. You know, I think my MO right now is go as hard as I can for a month, be sick for a week, go as hard as I can for a month, be sick for a week. And though it has worked, I'm also reaching the point where I'm like, fuck, if I keep doing this my entire life, it's not going to be a long one.
Yeah, I hit that like a month ago. I'm not out of it yet, but I was in a really tough place mentally like a month ago because since the beginning of quarantine, so I got COVID February of 2020. So even before the lockdown.
Wow.
So I was like, you know, like I could be
Right.
like, the world's shut down. I'm in a bad place. Like, why can't I just do shit? So I just kicked it into overdrive with this and I went
Sure.
and I went hard and I worked my ass off. And then I hit to that point when everything else opens back up and everyone's like, yeah, it's time. And I'm like, I just used all my energy and I'm just done now. And that's shitty. I should like you can't burn out.
Right.
Mm.
Right. It's
And I'm slowly building up, but I'm still burnt out. I'm still burnt out. Did you guys do anything? Like what musically did you guys do? What did you do over quarantine?
We released our EP. We had a show planned like with this band Flip Turn that was touring from Florida. We had the show planned as a release show and that got canceled. We had a whole tour planned that summer.
First tour?
Second tour, but first tour as the configuration of the band now.
Yes.
And because tour got canceled, we started talking about potentially recording a record. This studio in Boston called Plaid Dog reached out to us. They have a crowdfunding campaign format that they offer to upcoming artists where they'll help you set up a crowdfunding campaign and then that money goes into recording the record. And we're actually right in the thick of the process right now. Every single day this week, we have tracking. And then we also recorded a music video over the pandemic. We recorded
For what track?
For Willow.
Oh, you released that?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were. Yeah, that's a dope video.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And just a lot of live streams. And I think that's all. You know, we did our best to.
Yeah, it took us a
Stay
while
busy.
to get used to. I mean, as with everyone, but you know, we were like, there was the hope of like, it kept getting pushed back and back and back. You know, so it's like at first we were like, okay,
we were in
2 weeks, 2 weeks of shutdown, and then we'll still have our show on April 16th. It'll still happen. It's fine. And then of course, April 16th did not happen, and we were like, oh, it's okay. It'll be just another month. We'll still be touring by July. That did not happen.
We're
And
now
so
almost
it
in
was-
July of the next year.
Right.
And so it was just, we were holding on to these little things and in denial. And it took us a while to be like, okay, well, these things aren't happening. What can we do? And so once I think that kicked in, that's when we were like, okay, well, let's crowdfund for this album. Let's work on this music video. Let's order merch that we'd been putting off, you know, that sort of idea. We gave in to doing live streams. I think we were kind of hesitant on doing those for a long time. Because we're like, it's not the same.
I think we're such a live, live oriented band. Crowd engagement is a huge part of our show.
I really want to see you guys live. That's why I'm gonna try to come to the Sinclair for real, because I really want to see you guys live, because that is like a certain type of music that like feels different when you're like the energy in the room.
Totally. And I will say Juniper and Los Elk, the bands we're playing with, like the notes I've taken from watching them play, and this Los Elk especially, because I think I've only seen Juniper in videos, but I've seen Los Elk live twice. the notes I've taken from just how they perform and engage with the crowd, it's like they are goals right now, you know, and they're incredible performers, great music and all of that. And it's going to be a great show, not just on our part.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, it's
We're
going to be
definitely very
incredible.
excited.
So you said you're in the thick of it, making the album.
Mhm.
Is this your first time working with a label?
So this is actually, we're still independent, but we have a deal with the recording studio.
The studio. Okay,
yes.
That's good. Because I was gonna say, do you have like a thought on independent versus signing? Have you been like I've heard? I mostly talk to rappers who large they try to fuck over in the industry. That is like a very sure way. So I don't know what it's like in different genres.
I think there's always people trying to take advantage of people who are seeking help and don't feel confident enough to reach a level of success, whatever the individual describes that as on their own.
Yeah, we're artists. We want to be told we're pretty. You know, like,
dude, tell me I'm special.
For real.
Like, really.
Yeah. You're special.
Thank you. I think you're special too.
You're like, fucking tell me it right now.
Fuck me, that's good.
Like,
yo, hit me
tell
with
me
another.
But okay, say a label does offer you, like, would you want to stay independent? Can bands stay independent now? Is that like,
I think bands can 100% stay independent. I think for us, we have no desire. I wouldn't say we have no desire. We have no intention right now of finding a label. We're very much, let's record, let's book our tours, let's find people who want to be a part of our team, who like what we're doing and are going to support us. And not to fill this quota, but because they are passionate and believe in what we're doing. And if a record label does reach out to us, we do our fucking homework. Yeah. What are you offering us? What are all these words I don't understand on this paper? And what do I owe you if this isn't met?
Yeah.
You know, and just really do the homework and look at a record label reaching out as, of course, a big opportunity and potential, but also deliberate it as much as we would deliberate like what kind of t-shirt design we would get, what shows we're going to play. And not like, oh, this is a record label, we have to take this deal. And I think for us too, I know a lot of people I've heard of a lot of people that get fucked over because labels are expecting a specific amount of songs. And if you cannot fill that quota, then there are expectations on the other side.
Yeah.
And for any artist that is considering it, I think it's safe to have 3 records worth of material before you sign to a label, because that is what they're going to expect, at least from what I've heard.
So for people listening, if people are listening how did you guys get like a tour independent? Like, how did you guys grow independent? Was it like hard work and determination got you to where it was? Like,
a lot of emails.
Honestly, yeah. Like, really. Email. Like, honestly, it's like,
DM motherfuckers on Instagram. Email people, find people's email and be real. You know, be real with people. I know there's templates. We use templates. That's fine. But try to personalize it. The little one sentence that makes it about the venue in specific, that makes it about the art, the radio station in specific. Like, read through some of their blogs and be like, damn, I read that blog about Hippocampus and I love Hippocampus, and you know, we really admire them, and our music kind of resembles that, and maybe our music would fit well. Here's the track. And also send things to people before you release it. Just like we want to feel special, they want to fucking feel special too. Yeah.
Like when I'm like, hey, this is unreleased, I don't even know when we're gonna release it. Like, psst, you get a free listen. Like, people like that. Make people feel special.
That makes me so happy to hear you guys say, because like literally the only thing I have when people ask me about the podcast is like, I'm not scared to DM people. I'm not scared to be like, personalize it. Everyone I have had on the podcast, I'm a fan of. So like, I'm like, this is what I like about you. This is why. And would you, and I get most people don't answer.
Fair.
You know, but putting the time in and reaching out to people is the number one thing, no matter what the field is, you know?
It's about the 10% that do answer.
Yeah.
You know?
If they say no, I'm exactly where I was before I asked the question. But if one person says yes, it is this door that opens up to so many possibilities.
Yeah. People don't want to network. Like networking is everything. Like having not networking in a business sense, but networking in I want to find like-minded people.
Build a genuine community around what you're doing.
Yeah. Find people who, think the same way. I guess if you're an asshole, don't find a bunch of other assholes. That's not what I'm saying. But you know what I mean? Like, I want to find like-minded people. I don't know. Like, we haven't talked in a while, but this is a very like genuine conversation.
Totally.
I'm happy that we got to do it. We've never met. And
Nice to
same
meet you.
thing. I feel like we have to shake hands by the end.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Doctor.
Yeah. But it's like-minded. And I think art is a good way to show that. Like, I listened to your music and automatically I was like, oh, I know I'm gonna like you guys. You know what? Even though we know each other,
Right,
it's
for sure.
It's been a while.
Totally.
You know?
People change too, you know.
People do change, yeah. So I want to get now. So you started the band 4 years ago, and you guys weren't dating when you started the band.
No, we were not.
How, like, that's cool. Like, you guys just got musically matched up.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, she's beautiful, so it's like it didn't cross my mind. It did not cross my mind, but there was absolutely a moment where I was like, well, she's an incredible bass player. She's probably the first other musician at this school that I've gelled so well musically and personality wise that it was like, well, a relationship would get in the way of this greater thing that we're trying to accomplish here, which is create great music.
Right. Yeah, we definitely got along musically, personally.
Did you like him at first?
Thought he was a cutie. I like his dance moves.
I mean, I'll take it.
No, but there's definitely always that that fear of like, don't date your bandmates. Don't start something. Don't start interpersonal relationships like with professional. Don't mix the two. You know, like it's a big thing.
Don't be friends with your coworkers type deal.
Yeah. Don't shit where you eat.
Yes. Yup.
I like to make it for the dullards listening.
Yeah.
I like to make it lowest common denominator.
Totally.
That's my audience.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So I mean, there's
shitting on you
definitely worries. There are definitely worries that come along with that. But I mean, I feel like it's like you also get to, while there are problems that might occur, or there's worries, at the same time, you get to create and share the thing that you love most in life and get to create things with the person that you love. And it's really, and I mean, that goes for all of the people we share music with, all of our bandmates. You know, like I think I love everyone that we're in this band with. They're all amazing.
I think we're
people.
so lucky to have people that we gel with so well, and we all understand to an extent the music is music and our friendship is separate from that. And a disagreement and an argument, like the amount of times just this week we've gotten heated at each other in the studio and then come back and like had movie night together and like had a meal together and like just talk shit and like had a good time and we're friends. It for me speaks volumes to like our ability to grow as a group. And I'll just add on because I got to give him the shout out too. Like early on when we started dating and like the worries and the fears of, well, is this romantic relationship going to interfere with our professional relationship, our musical relationship? I know a duo that now is in Portland, Maine. They go by Gentle Temper. Incredible. They're playing Levitate Music Festival
dope.
this year. I called Ryan from that group and I was like, hey man, how do you do it? You know, cause I'm so afraid. I want both of these things, but sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too. Right. And his largest piece of advice was the relationship always comes before the band. And it's like the romantic relationship comes before the band. That is the first relationship we take care of. Sometimes I forget, sometimes we forget, but that is what is most important. Same with our friendships with our bandmates. The friendship is what's most important there, not the music. But the music is a byproduct of our ability to connect as friends and as romantic partners and to communicate and be vulnerable.
I think that the relationships both between us and each of our friends, our band members, has done nothing but strengthen what the music is, what strengthened what the musical product that people hear is and that people see on stage.
Yeah, we do. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like there is a thought that you can't, that like personal relationships, whether it be friendships, romantic relationships, aren't going to work. Like, it's like you can't mix it, but like you can, like, if you putting it first is real. Like if I get mad at, like, not that I ever do, Ani, but if I ever get mad at Ani and Irish, like, and I feel the first thing in my mind goes to like saying something like, petty about business wise. Yeah. It's like, no, the friendship comes first. And this is the only way these things work. There's a book. It's called Extreme Ownership. And it's like, no matter what the situation is, even if you like take ownership, because that's what's going to make everyone feel better in the end. Extreme ownership, no matter the situation, you take it. And that's honestly like how I feel. Like that changed it's such a simple thing, but like owning your shit is a way to make it work. So when did you what flipped the switch when you're like, all right, we'll try this?
I don't know if there ever was a switch. It just kind of naturally started happening. I don't know.
Like you started using one microphone instead of two. Like.
And I stared deeply in her eyes as we were hitting that high note. And I was like, God damn.
What's that band, that two sisters who only use one microphone and they like sing? I saw them open up for Kurt Vile. It's the weirdest shit ever. Anyway.
The Wolf Sisters? Maybe? I
don't know. So it's just weird tangent.
I don't know if there really was a switch. I think at one point I was like, I'm going to make a move. And then I was like, and it happened and we were both like, oh, like, let's not go there. Let's not take this relationship there. And then I don't know what switched in you, but I think it definitely was. I mean, proximity breeds attraction. Like I'm not going to be here, stand here and talk about, I think love is equal parts. I mean, love is science, but science is divine. So it's like proximity. You know, we were talking about the same thing. We were striving toward the same goal. We showed up every day for this thing that we both loved so much and we're passionate about. We spent hours talking about how we can build this thing that we both want to see succeed. And I think slowly it just felt more right that the communication that we felt in a business professional relationship could be carried over into a personal romantic relationship where we were open with each other about how we were feeling about things. We shared our thoughts. We were willing to be vulnerable and disagree and let go of what we both thought was right for the song and do the new thing that none of us would have thought about on our own. And little things like this, it's like, I think we joke about it too with the band now. It's like, yeah, we're all dating. We're all up in each other's business. We know what's going on. We're all vulnerable with each other. We all share our ideas. We all communicate openly and freely. And we express to each other when we're feeling something. And I think it was just knowing that there was physical attraction there too. It for me was like, it's worth seeing if this works. And a question I've always asked myself is, if we were to break up, could we still be band members? Could we still work in a professional setting together? And my answer has always been yes. I think we could remain a band if we were no longer dating. And I think that was an important question for me to like really meditate on, to see if it was worth pursuing further.
Yeah. And I'll say that I don't think it would work for every couple. I don't think that it would work for any personality types. Did I say that right?
Maybe.
I think they understood.
Yeah.
What
Got it,
changed?
guys. But I feel like, yeah, there's a push and a pull. And if you feel in your heart of hearts that you can balance it, like I think there's a like, you know or you don't, I feel like.
And knowing is not like a spur of the moment thing.
Right. It's you grow into knowing.
Right. You sit on it for a long time. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're dating now.
And we are wrapping up soon, but what changed musically when that decision was made?
We added more band members.
We needed more.
Half kidding.
Yeah. We needed more third parties to our decision making.
No, I think musically things only kept growing stronger.
I wouldn't say a lot changed. I think we were on a path musically, and we just kind of kept going down that path.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if anything changed. I think we became tighter, we became stronger. We just kept going along the direction that we had started on.
Yeah, I mean, I had a songwriting rival next to my side the whole time.
Do you guys write together? Do you write separate? Do you?
All right, this is real sneak peek for everybody. The first song we've ever written together is the chorus of an unreleased song called July. All the other songs we've written separately.
Yeah.
I love that song. That song hits me in ways that everything I love about music, that song hits me. And we usually don't write together.
Mm-hmm. We have different ways of going about writing.
I think that's where we meet the most friction.
Yeah. Yep. Actually,
in our.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I need to. All right.
No,
What are you
absolutely.
writing? What are you writing?
I'm very much like structured. So this is funny because it's different from everything we've been talking about. I'm very much, this is the structure of the song. These are my musical parts. This is the format I have so I can come back to it. And Claire is very much, that'll be a part of the song, and that'll be a part of a song. And that's an idea there. And that's another idea there. And I mean, I think it feeds into the overthinking of me because I'm like, I have to have it all planned out. I have to have all the pieces in place.
Art's where you find structure.
he's
That's
the
where you find.
kind of person where he will spend 3 hours on 3 lines.
I'll sit, 3 hours on like 2 rhymes. And Claire's like,
I'll just like idea vomit like for like an hour onto a page, and then I'll be like, okay, well, I'll come back and finish this later. Or like,
so you're a miner and you're a sculptor.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think, like
I think that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also jumping back to what you said, what changed musically, my songs got better. I was, like you said, not that I thought of it as a songwriting rival because I didn't come
I think of it like that.
Well, you
I saw the look in your eye. You really, I believe you.
No, but I was learning from him. I was listening to his songs, and I was like, oh, well, let me try that. Let me try doing this writing thing. And I really wasn't writing a lot before I joined the band, and I started listening to your songs. And I really think that it has just made me a better writer to have you by my side and listening to your writing and listen to your creative process.
That's beautiful to hear.
Yeah, I think so also. Like every time she brings me a song, there's the equal parts like, God, how did you come up with that? That's incredible. Where did you even pull inspiration for this? You are incredible. And then the other half that's like, fuck, I gotta go sit down somewhere and write a fucking great song. And like,
There'll be times when you present a song to me and I'm just like,
yeah, no, she, I think we both do
great
this.
song.
We show
Great
each other a
song.
song and it's like,
Everybody love everybody.
that's great.
I had to drop it right
That was
there.
perfect. No, but it's for real. Like the body language and everything. When we show each other a song, it's like, that was great. Yeah, no, really, that was awesome. And
it's very different from showing a friend a song. They're like, that was so good. Like, I love that song. Like, it's like, we don't.
When you finished July, what was the?
July's not finished yet. We're still working.
We're working on it. We're working on it,
Yeah.
but it's on the way. And I want everybody to know that it is. To me, it's special. But you know, you can decide that for yourself.
Do you have any music coming out? Do you have any? I know you have dates. You said you have? Do you have a tour coming?
We are booking a busking tour this summer, busking in backyard, interspersed with like some bigger shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are trying to book a national tour for next spring where we'll be working on another project with a friend of ours who's a producer out in LA.
Oh, great.
Yeah. But the most next.
Yeah, the most next
most
thing.
next
Most
thing.
upcoming
People say that all
thing.
the time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is the debut full length that we're working on right now that we were talking about.
Do you have a
Studio
date, or are you just
recording.
letting it?
I think we're looking at next spring right now so we can tour it when the time comes. It's called Melancholy Flowers. It'll be our first full-length record. But we're also dropping a standalone single before that. So yeah.
Awesome. When's that? Do you have just one?
Hopefully by the end of the summer.
Awesome.
That is my hope.
I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming. This was a really, really great conversation.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
us.
Yeah,
of course.
Thank you for asking great
agree.
questions and being a part of it.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. And I'm happy we got to catch up.
Totally.
It was nice meeting you.
The handshake.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to plug your social medias?
For sure. Yeah. We are the Q-Tip Bandits. That's Q-Tip like clean your ears, Bandits like steal your hearts. And on all platforms, we are the Q-Tip Bandits. No spaces, no hyphens, all lowercase. And you can find us on all streaming platforms, whether it be Apple Music, Spotify, or Deezer or Tidal. And we are on social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
What's your Instagram?
Personally?
Oh, you don't have to share it, but
My
if you want
personal Instagram, the band's Instagram is the Q-Tip Bandits, all lowercase, no spaces, no apostrophes or hyphens. My personal one is the Leo Sun.
Mine is Clur, CLUR.jpg.
Perfect. And hey, everyone, go listen to Willow real quick. I love that track. I listened to it on repeat so much today.
Aw.
Anyway, goodbye, everyone.